life ain't like that. So you got to kind of go with the flow.
It's a terrible tactic and it'll lead you to a poor life.
You know, that's a really difficult thing to do, is to talk about the thing that you feel like is holding you back.
He was always a lot more maniacal.
Mm-hmm.
So is Beyonce.
Stay Sharp, episode 24. I'm Jordan Ray, and joining me is my other half, Rashad Tyler. We are the duo behind Raire Label, which produces this podcast and also supports brands and businesses from strategy to implementation.
We do.
You're here to go to school on our experiences or just observe. And if you like what you see, make sure you click that subscribe button.
Mama.
And hit us up if you're working on a project and you would like our help. We'd love to step in, for real.
For sure.
How are you today?
I'm pretty good, my dear. How are you?
I'm pretty well myself.
Yeah?
I'm pretty well. I think I have an addiction to chocolate covered almonds.
It's production day treat.
Yeah, that's the production day snack we always have on set. And my mom sent us some.
Oh, that's right.
From Christmas. She put some in our stockings and been eating chocolate covered almonds for like the last several days.
But the ones with I don't know what the brand is. What's the brand?
The Skinny Dip?
Skinny Dipped.
Mm-hmm.
They're different.
They are. Because you like them because they're not as...
They don't have
as much
chocolate. Yeah. The sugar is a fraction.
They use like real cacao.
Well, it's just not... Well, that too, but it's also just not that milk chocolate or that chocolate coated chocolate.
It's more of like
it's more of a
powdered,
dusted,
powdered dusted chocolate on the almond. Yeah.
So a part of how they sell it is that it's a little bit less dangerous to rock with them than your traditional chocolate covered whatever.
Yeah. It's just
you
once
get the
I open
similar flavor, but without the caloric impact.
It's just once I open the bag, I can't put it down.
That ain't even a good one either, though.
Might as well just look at the entire nutrition facts on the back and you just know I'm about to eat all this.
Until we're sponsored, I guess I shouldn't worry about it very much, but they got they got one of the best recipes on that possible. The peanut butter and chocolate joint. Mm-hmm. You like the lemon.
The lemon is really good.
Yeah.
That's not chocolate, obviously, but the lemon dipped almond is amazing.
So we're referring to Skinny Dipped if you didn't pick up on the brand.
Yeah. Skinny Dipped isn't going to sponsor us, but maybe.
Yeah. Maybe. I mean, really in our SKU, but we are fans.
Yeah. It's MLK Day too.
It is.
It's a big day.
I watched the Rustin movie recently.
Yeah.
And I thought that it was especially timely. And I think there's so much context that continues to be rolled out for what those men were doing, what they went through, what they endured, and how intelligent they were.
Yeah.
I think when I was coming up being given the MLK speech to re-recite, I could not understand the usefulness or the gravity or even the intelligence in the words. So as I get older and a lot more aware, because this new information is coming out that's creating more context, it's just not just this bizarre figurehead that we think of like, Lincoln and Washington and all of those white American heroes. He's the Black American hero who sits in that pocket largely because we didn't have a movie like X that kind of gave us more context on Malcolm X. And he was a lot more relatable anyway. But nowadays, knowing what Selma meant and, of course, how Rustin framed him, just an incredibly intelligent man.
Yeah, I definitely should catch up on that. And like you mentioned, the I Have a Dream speech, even just going back and studying that based on the work that we're putting in to communicate and deliver and perform and almost look at that speech from a perspective that I'm actually not only just trying to grasp or understand or go back and interpret what that meant and how powerful that was, and but study his delivery, because we always hear and we know that he was one of the most renowned speakers historically.
He may be the greatest.
Maybe the greatest
orator to ever live. I think there's the perspective that we all know that he was suggested to go into the dream speech by Mahalia Jackson, who was next to him on stage. And so you think he's told or done that speech a lot of times. So his mastery in that moment of being able to deliver it was similar to what a comedian might go through by doing a bit 20, 30, 40, 50 times before you see it on special. So he knows what the pace should be and how to deliver it. And I think those things are lost on us as people who are receiving those messages, because we don't necessarily know the story of how those speeches or how those bits come together. Now that we have a little bit more access, we can replicate some of those things so we're a little bit better when it's our turn to deliver something that needs to be impactful, if not meaningful.
Absolutely. I have a memory to share, just something that I like to reflect back on is I probably was in the 3rd or 4th grade, I don't know. And we had a project, and I think that the assignment was to pick a public figure. I don't know that it was as specific as a speaker or something, but to pick a public figure, and you do a drawing of them or a portrait, and you share. I don't know if we presented it to the class. I don't have a great memory when I was that young, but 3rd, 4th grade or so. And I chose Martin Luther King, and I drew the picture of him. And I believe my mom still has it somewhere because the whole class put their portraits in a book. And that was like our project. And it's actually a hardback book.
Right.
And all of the kids' pictures, right? And all of the different people that we could choose to do the project on. So I need to see if like we still have that somewhere. That would be dope to find.
100%.
But I know I got to pick who I wanted to research and share about. And
to think like growing up in Tulsa, Oklahoma at that age, like what all of those different things and being.
It was a thing.
Yeah. A Black child with a white mother. That's really, really profound.
Yeah. I grew up going to, the MLK parade on that day, that morning in Tulsa. And my dad always, took us, and that was fun.
And as anyone would expect, like your mom is amazing.
Yeah, she was there.
Yeah,
like,
mom's is super fucking dope.
Yeah, but that's definitely a person who leads us into the mindset versus skill set conversation that we're talking about, right? And what the difference is between a mindset and a skill set.
Yeah.
Because you mentioned, we were prepping for this episode, and you mentioned, like, I want to make sure people know that there's a difference, right?
Or and just to really identify the gap in the space between the two, because it's clearly two different things, but it's not applied with the separation that they should be applied with. So I think that developing ways to go and attack improving your mind, improving your tactics, there are skills connected to being able to amplify, shift, and transfer your mindset. So you have to understand how to untangle them in order to understand how to leverage the two.
Yeah, that's what you meant.
Yeah. Because it's just not lost on me that, and I hate using basketball references. I just don't have a better one.
Go ahead.
So I think about the great Kobe Bean Bryant and how he had an elite mindset that helped him develop elite skills. And it was his ability to have a mental and a self-narrative that was always looking for details, improvements, ways to assert his will in finding and sourcing tactics that would give him an advantage. And in that, he would have to skill acquire. Yeah. You get what I'm saying?
So the mindset is really coming before. And a lot of times it might seem like the skills were there.
Correct. Because sometimes we romanticize the idea of talent, right? And we don't necessarily realize that there is too much romance with that label. And what we're really seeing when we find elite level performers is that they've taken the time to figure out that their will separate them from people who have the same amount of given talent. That's what you see with him. I think as of recording this was at a very similar moment where Gilbert Arenas just shared that he saw Vince Carter as like a physical god, like he's in his words, a Bugatti. And he's like, Kobe was born at S500. And I've been sharing a similar point of view for years, but people just refuse to believe that Kobe, no, he's not the fastest. He doesn't jump the highest. None of those things. He was just willing to do all of the things that you need to do in order to find advantage, which comes back down to the mindset or the will. And from there, he's able to do or practice more intentionally in terms of like how precise the jab step is, right? And why to put it in a certain rhythm and to a certain part of his body, and where to put the ball in terms of hiding it or where to show the ball, and to anticipate what a defender's going to do and all of that. When you're talented, you almost don't even pay attention to, or at least you have a mindset that says you're so talented that you don't have to try hard. And I've known so many people that have decided that they didn't have to try hard. And that's why they only went a fraction of the distance that they otherwise could have covered if they'd been a hell of a lot more humble in terms of what they had, and a lot more accepting to the reality that you can go a lot further with will than you can with talent.
Yeah. The awareness and the mindfulness. You asked me a couple days ago why maybe I hesitate to give someone that is a high achiever the admiration.
Yeah, I did.
You remember that?
Yeah.
So to set all that up, we're at dinner. This was a few months ago. Estelle was in town. She was in New Orleans. She's a good friend of yours. A good friend of hers is Teacher Moses. And the other day we were playing Be Your Girl. Everybody knows this song.
Yeah.
And we're in the car and you asked me, did you tell Teacher that you...
Because it's one of your favorite songs.
Yeah, it's top. Like that song is top 10 for me, like for sure. And that's a song. If someone asked me, oh, what's the song? One song you can listen to for forever. I need to keep that in mind because that would probably, that's probably one of those songs. I'm like, oh yeah, I could listen to that forever, over and over.
Shout out Teacher. We're definitely going to tag you at some point.
And you mentioned the other night, did you tell her that you fuck with that song? And I was like, no, I didn't. I sat right next to her at dinner. We had a great time. But I was just like, I am actually interested in the mind, like more of her mindset, which would have been just a super deep conversation for a dinner on how do you hone your skills did you know that song was going to be a hit? What was that process in creating it? I just got privy to how a song is even created in the last 2 or 3 years anyways. You know what I'm saying? That was a new thing for me. And so it's just crazy that this is coming back up because I hesitate to idolize or even, what's the other word that I'm looking for? You mentioned like being romantic about someone's talent because I am so grateful to just be able to witness how they've decided to overcome their insecurities, whatever narratives they've had to fight through, whatever like obstacles, because we know just in our own human experience that there's so much stuff that we're all going through that no one ever knows about. Right. And when you decide to be, maniacal or whatever about something and you hone that craft, you become really good at it. Everybody just sees the glitter and those other stories are not told. And I'm just grateful to be able to witness the greatness And that's my perspective on the difference between mindset, and not even the difference, but that there is a gap between the two. And what are we really praising someone for?
That's right.
Like, I'm praising you because you had to have fought through something to get that, like pressure makes diamonds type of thing.
Right. I think with that particular song, it's actually the Kaytranada version, which we love so much, is, you know, ripped from the original that she recorded. But to your point, she wrote the original.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Those melodies, those ideas, and all those different things. And I think we imagine all of our greatest performers to be, they're just so talented. And they were, you know, so coddled and, you know, protected and pushed to the front of the choir when they were kids, and you were envious in the back. And that's why they became you know, and it's like, no, they had the guts to continue. And they took the feedback, but they didn't let the negative narrative overtake them.
Yep.
And anytime they were met with that, they fought through it. And I think people have such a tremendous amount of shallow thought as it relates to those who will do the extra thing over time that will give them the extra opportunity later, that will make us as the onlooker have to deal with the fact that we are afraid all the time. So Beyonce is only as talented as the most talented person that you have always known in your own neighborhoods or from where you're from. The difference is that she was also gifted what she was gifted in terms of opportunities and support system. No question about that. But any other point that she could have chosen to quit or tell dad no, or tell, you know, whoever no, she individually in and of herself decided to soldier on and saw herself as one of the greatest in the world, or else she would not have the courage to try.
To keep going.
To push. Correct. So we reference Kobe so much because he didn't have the overwhelming talent that would make him the number one player.
Yeah.
He was always just a lot more maniacal than all of the rest. So is Beyonce.
Yeah. And the awareness to know I have to be like that in order to win. And leading me to the question now that I have is, turning this back to us, but what motivates you to lean into a certain mindset to get a certain skill set?
Yeah.
Like, you know, sometimes it's competition, sometimes it's love, vanity, haters, you know, that's fueling the
motivation side of it.
Yeah.
I get it. I think that love is the best way to do anything. But truthfully, if you're going to win sustainably, you're going to have to tap into all of them. And at different moments, right? You have to use the right fuel for the right time. So while I was in a pit personally, I used the hater the most, right? This person said, you're never going to make it. This person said, you know, that you were a bum, that you were a wannabe, blah, like.
Yeah.
And so when I'm in the pit, when I'm below success, it's easy to leverage that hater. Then when you get success, there's only so much like, I told you so that you can do. You got to flip it as
switch your motivation.
100%. Well, you have to, because you already accomplished your goal. There's no more use for the hater after a certain point.
Yeah. What's next?
So you don't want to find that you are inspiration or motivationally bankrupt because you ran out of the fuel. The only fuel that's ever giving is love. And so if you can use that as your North Star and your reason, and use it with the same amount of intensity as hate or competition, which competition has the same thing. Like if you see somebody from across the pond that I'm going to beat that person, I'm going to beat that team. What happens when you beat the team?
Yeah.
You get there and you go like, all right, well, what's my new motivation? You got to find another team or you got to find another person. That ain't sustainable. So go back to like love. If you can make love the North Star from the gate, you're going to be a hell of a lot more consistently motivated. Otherwise, again, you're left to be out of fuel when you meet the goal or meet the challenge that you put in front of yourself.
Yeah. Wow.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, like finding the love as a way to motivate yourself is something that you've really introduced me to that just now, like in the last couple minutes, because that's not something that I would attribute to being a motivator.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm leaning into how you see that, because for me, I am very much a competitor at heart. And I think that I'm usually leading with that, and not necessarily a competitor in the negative connotation, but a competitor in that like I really want to do things on my own. I really want to make things my way, not my way as in my way or the highway, but I want to give things a shot and put my spin on stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what motivates me to try to get into meditation. Okay, I hear all these people talking about meditation. What does that look like for me? There's got to be a meditation fit for how I want to experience that and
right.
what I need. Same thing with, maybe like more of a technical skill, Photoshop. Okay, I hear that this is so challenging. Let me find out what's so challenging about this. I think I could use this, and understanding, what that through line is. And it's competition for me as a way to get into things, but I really want to be individualistic with stuff. So individualism is something that also maybe motivates me, but I would never say that I'm motivated like by love. And I haven't really done the haters narrative before. But one thing that did come to the forefront is that how we can be motivated by vanity. And we think of things like vanity and, being a competitor or haters, like these are all negative things, but used in the right way, in the right moment, I think can help you get an edge on something that ultimately is just going to help you gain a skill.
It's interesting, like, because I've had a lot of people give me pushback on how or why vanity is a good motivator for getting into shape. And I'm like, dog, it's a terrible motivator, because the difference in what you're going to do is you're going to try and look fit as opposed to try and get healthy. And if you were trying to get healthy, you would develop a lifestyle. If you're trying to get fit, you're going to try and apply the latest fad to getting you to look a certain way. And your insides might be trash, even though your outside might look okay. It's a terrible tactic. And it'll lead you to a poor life.
That's terrible. Very terrible. So to double down on the triple, quadruple down on the word terrible, I can't agree with you more in that situation, that vanity, to maintain or to enter into a healthier lifestyle or to lose weight or cut, whatever you're trying to do. Yeah, it's definitely not the right place to use vanity, but I'm like, there's got to be other ways where vanity can be a positive motivator. In a way, I think and I'm not sure if this is, me being a woman, but vanity motivating me to show up better on camera it's a motivator. It motivates me to, okay, spend time on your hair, spend time on your makeup, maybe even learn other ways to do your hair and your makeup or to do styling, because yes, these are vanity front facing. This is our facade, but it matters, and it's motivating me because I know that down the line it will return in some way.
I get that. I think that there is no bad way to think about somebody else showing up, right? It's like how they get there and how they produce is how they produce. Mm-hmm. I would only try and give or provide a larger narrative that will flame out later or not flame out at all, which I would say, well, let's make sure that we make this look as good as we possibly can, so that we can reach as many people and it can last as long as possible. You see what I'm saying? So like, I'm taking like what is a short or maybe a close target and like putting the target way out there so that we can also hit some additional targets along the way to the one that we're after.
Yeah.
So if we talk about like quality, we're not talking about just the hair and just the makeup and just the fit. We're talking about like the quality of the audio, the quality of the video and the picture itself, like the assets to the promotion.
Yeah.
Everything else starts to matter more because our North Star is really a North Star and not just a abstract short term. I'm trying to, get to the next town over. Like getting to the next town over versus getting into outer space take an entirely different type of motivation, if not an entirely different type of fuel and system.
Yeah. I think, so you're saying, I'm confirming that vanity is not, it doesn't necessarily have to be a presentation.
No.
Like a physical presentation. It can be whatever it is that you're actually creating, what the standard is for
how you look is not always physical. You know what I'm saying? So I don't want to look dumb. So it's all about like how you look, and it's feeding some part of how you feel about yourself connected to some transaction or some presentation that didn't meet your fears, right? Didn't supersede your fears about how somebody would talk about you after the fact. And if you're concerned about that, it's just going to be an unnecessary limiter. I was talking to Corey the other day. It was just via text, but I said like, yeah, especially when I was a promoter, I had a tough time because I never want anybody to see me as a promoter, which is an entirely different conversation. But one of the things that I noticed people have a tough time doing with their stuff is promoting it. And a lot of that is them thinking somebody's going to be annoyed that they're selling something. And I'm like, yeah, but get over that. The thing that's holding you back is vanity. So if you care to create something that they should have that's going to benefit them, that's going to be a win for them, then guess what? You should be proud to share it with them. So if you start with that end in mind, which is a love narrative, then you're going to just create better content, create a better product, have more pride and more joy when you're putting it out into the world because you did so with that type of intention. And you're not going to be hiding behind promoting something that you're not afraid or embarrassed potentially to stand next to. But even if you are, just recognize that your vanity is driving your decision making. It ain't the product, right? It was your decision to create that product. And your decision to stand away from it means that you probably need to step it up.
That was such a good breakdown of all of that. Even the note that you had about the weight or getting in shape. And I think that could be, and I'm just saying this out loud, but that is something that I would like to look into more is competition, haters, love, and vanity. Like those four things, the good and the bad of that, and the pros and the cons of letting those things motivate you, and when you need to shift, and what always you need to fall back on. I think that that's really interesting. Like I think that that's book worthy.
Okay, book worthy. Talk that.
For real. He's gonna visionary the book, and I'll probably write it. But you're gonna, I don't know, or maybe I'm the editor.
That's something.
Right?
Something to this.
I don't know how that works, but we got to
co-author in some way.
Yeah, you'll publish it or something, and I'll be the editor. I don't know. I got to learn the book writing roles. So, what's something that's limiting you? Maybe a mindset or a skill set that you don't have that you feel like has been self-limiting?
I am not the most confident in telling someone or telling a group what's going to happen and feeling a sense of, oh God, I'm uncomfortable even thinking about it. Feeling like that's enough because I always feel like I have to prove myself and over-prove myself, like prove it beyond the shadow of doubt. And it's probably it's not even probably, I'm sure it's kept and keeping me from making bigger leaps. Because with my track record, if I'm telling the story right, like it should be more than enough for you to believe. But my insecurities tell me that I haven't done enough yet.
Yeah, I'm excited for you to break through that, and I know that that's hard to share and it's hard to deal with. And you're like, oh, I don't want to talk about that, or I just want to deal with it later. But I know you're working through that. And it is something that, going back to promoting and not being afraid to sell, and not being like, that's vanity.
Mm-hmm.
It's how can I break through my insecurities and be more vain because I have accomplished, and how do I want to position that, and how do I want to share that? Because I know that you're still going to be a forever learner. So it's never going to stop. You don't have an end point.
But you know what? It's connected to worthiness, like mentally feeling worthy of the opportunities or the position or the authority.
Mm-hmm.
And some of that is depending on what the scenario is.
Got it. Yeah.
You think like for somebody to decide that they should be the president, your self-confidence is. And so finding that amount of self-assuredness is a real challenge for me.
It's probably definitely more difficult for some than it is for others. And,
correct.
We have seen that many times.
So there's a skill to acquire to overcome that. This is back to why I feel like these conversations, this should be paired, because there's a skill to acquire to overcome that.
Mm-hmm.
And there are mindsets that you can actually adopt through skills because they can power each other depending on what the thing is.
Yeah.
This makes, right?
Yeah,
okay.
For sure. And for me, something that I'm working through is playing small. And I feel like I've been playing small for a while now. And I don't think I've always played small. Matter of fact, I know that I haven't always played small. So I'm not sure if it's, a period of time that I'm just, have my head down. I'm kind of learning. I'm in a silo, or if, the things that I'm insecure about and whatever I am challenged with. But that's something that I am, really hoping to overcome. And I'm working on it. It's not an overnight thing. You don't just all of a sudden flip a switch and you don't have a self-limiting belief anymore. You work through that. You figure out what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
And I really want to, have the mentality to go big or go home. Like, you do this big, you do it right. You do this almost in a, flossy, flashy, lavish way. Like, that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
And to not feel that I want to shy behind something or be in the shadows or hide or be not coy about things, but maybe it's being bashful about something. Anyways, that's definitely what I'm working through.
Yeah. I get that. And I want to encourage you to talk with it more with all of us, because I know that it's easy for us to believe that people are giving us encouragement and they don't mean it, or they give it to everybody, so it's not specific or special.
Mm-hmm.
And none of that is true, right? Giving someone else flowers. I should say this to my camera. When someone else gets flowers from someone, it does not mean that the flowers that same someone gave you means any less. You have to never spend time comparing what was gifted to you with what was gifted to someone else, even if you got the same gift, because you could have not been gifted at all.
Facts. Yeah, I definitely understand.
Yeah.
And I think that something that helps me work through it, you mentioned you should talk about that more. And, that's a really difficult thing to do, is to talk about the thing that you feel like is holding you back.
Yeah.
It's I don't know if it's vulnerable or it's just like I said earlier, I'll deal with that later. I'll deal with that in private. I don't know. But something that really has been a game changer for me, one thing that I've done naturally and one thing that I am learning to do and I'm leaning into, is being disciplined and sticking to the routine, setting a plan, being consistent with that. I have no problem with consistency and discipline because we can't wait for the motivation. I know that, I've always said that don't wait to be motivated because you're going to wake up a lot of days and you're not going to be motivated to go to the gym. I see people in the elevator. Oh, I wish I was going to the gym like you, or, I wish I was a gym goer. And I'm like, I'm not a gym goer. I have a goal that I want to feel a certain way. I know that I need to move my body. It's science, but that's something that I never have an issue with, that is a game changer for me. I think it does give me a bit of an edge. It sets me apart and allows me to be ambitious and stay focused. On the other end, something that doesn't come as naturally to me, but is a key game changer that I'm learning to embrace, is thriving in ambiguity. It's a word. Thriving in ambiguity, because I always like to have a plan. I like things to be very obvious. And I'm just learning, life ain't like that.
No.
So you got to kind of go with the flow. And I'm not a go with the flow person, but I'm learning how to go with the flow.
Yeah.
Inside of all of my disciplines, my routines, my calendars, my structure.
Yeah.
So doing both is helping me hopefully knock down the playing small thing and shift that into playing big.
Yeah. Because I imagine that your alert button starts to ring off, or your alert lights start to ring off when things are not going to the plan that you have in your mind, or to the plan that was initially set.
For sure.
Yeah. And like we talked about another time, I'm not sure when it was, but that things change in the world. And when they do, adapt fast, because you don't have any control. Control what you can. But I think the main thing to control is the fact that you have your own eyes, ears, heart, and mind that you can wrap around any scenario that you choose. And making yourself rigid is the reason that you feel like you're about to break and panic.
Yeah.
So if you were less rigid and more like water, right?
Flowy.
Yeah, it has a better life for you, because you're not gonna, feel the harm. Do
you have a narrative, a mindset that's a game changer for you that keeps you on track?
That one, right? Okay. It's just that I've accepted that in no way can I really control the outcome in the world.
Yeah.
I'm very clear that the only thing that I control is my head, my heart, and how I respond to the people or the scenario that's bringing me the challenge. And I've already decided before the moment that I'm just going to choose love. I'm just going to be love.
Do this.
Yeah. Oh, I'm just going to be love. Yeah, I'm going to be love. Because at the end of the day, not everybody has done the work or had the chance to do the work, or whatever that might look like, or has a chance to acquire the skills or be gifted the skills, however I've come into them. Because even like working out, which we both do, like I was gifted a sister who was an elite athlete and a brother that was an elite athlete, and like watching them and like growing up in a environment where there was athletics gave me an advantage as it relates to going to the gym. So it's not even lost on me that this ain't all of my design. So bringing that back to like how I choose to respond when I'm hit in the face is to try and be chill, because I don't know what somebody else has in terms of like skills or perspective. Yeah. The last thing I want to do is be an added weight to a burden that they already can't carry. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I'm choosing like, no, I'm going to be love, bro. So at least it might take their anxiety down. It's weird to me that somebody would choose to take somebody else's anxiety up because it's bad.
I like what you said around the chance to do the work, and maybe someone hasn't gotten a chance to do the work. And if there's work that anybody is, trying to do, and this is advice to myself, but take the chance, give yourself the chance to do the work. If you can, like however you can, give yourself that chance. And it may not be super smooth at first,
right.
or you might not be super consistent with it at first, but know that you can also give yourself the chance, especially as an adult, and you can choose to develop a certain mindset, develop any skill. It's going to take time. And like I said, it's not going to happen in a week or two. It's not going to be probably an immediate payoff. But I think that that's a beautiful thing is, yes, not all of us have had the chance to do a certain type of work, like mindfully do, like mindfulness to do a certain, or awareness to do a certain type of work, but we can gift ourselves that chance.
Yeah. We have to stop doing something in order to do it.
Yeah. All right. Rapid fire. Rapid fire. You could only choose one.
All right. One.
A hard skill or a soft skill?
No, hard skill.
Okay. Why?
I have to tell you what the hard skill would be, or just why hard skills as a category.
Whatever you like. Defend your answer.
So the way I took the question or the prompt was to choose if you could go down like one pathway or another. Yeah. So I'll make it both like wide and narrow, my response at least. So I think that if you have in this time outstanding hard skills, that you can shift the world differently than having dominant soft skills. And a different time, all of the leaders were extroverted. Today, all of the leaders, all of the biggest companies are led by introverts. The guys who you would have considered nerds, they're all able to do like amazing calculations and have a deep reliance on data and statistics and these types of things. It's just not lost on me that you don't have to be able to be Martin Luther King in order to make a change in today's world. So I would choose that today, where before it had to be the opposite.
Yeah. I am going to go head to head with you right now.
Okay.
I'm going to say soft skills.
Defend your position.
Because leadership is something that is a big deal to me. And I think for me, soft skills come a little bit more difficult than the hard skills. And so I'm like, okay.
100%.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know.
I feel like some people might naturally have soft skills more naturally than they would have hard skills. This is charisma. These are.
You feel like charisma is inborn? Or you feel like it's, a part of it's there and then it's developed?
I think it's both. I think there's so many things that, just like we're talking about, if you have a certain mindset and you want to hone your charisma, you want to hone your charm. Oh, absolutely. You can learn those things, or your environment is going to put you in a situation where you are building that muscle. So I think it's kind of both. But with the soft skills, for me, I definitely think they're a little bit more hard to come by. And that's why it's more attractive to me to say, oh, I think I'm going to go with soft skills if I could only pick one. Because I would want to become an outstanding leader and round up my people to do the hard skills.
Right.
Be able to get the best of the best to create whatever it is. Some of the companies that, you didn't really reference any specific companies, but yeah, I think that's what I would go with. And I didn't know that when we were preparing for this conversation, I was like, I don't know. Ooh, that's a hard question.
Yeah.
But if I could only have one, I'm going to go with soft skills because I would want to be just an amazing leader and manager.
Yeah. Be able to get the crowd going, get the people going. Leave all
the hard skills to everybody else, because that's also just not my strength. So I'm really attracted to, I want what I don't have.
Yeah. I get it. I think a lot of people like the charismatic leader. I don't care so much about that at this stage.
I ain't say charismatic leader. I say leader, straight up gangster leader.
Okay. I think a lot of people like that too.
Yeah.
I just think those people, depending on how they wield their ability to persuade and convince people, just as much the people that are able to use data and other things to manipulate things, it can be as dangerous. So at the end of the day, let's hope that the people that are gifted, either or both, or controlling or influencing, do it responsibly. Yeah. But if I had to pick one, mine would make more money.
Rashad and I are going to go write a book now on various topics. That was a great conversation.
Yeah, I think so too.
We hope that you have a wonderful day wherever you're at in the world. And if you haven't already, like, comment, and subscribe. We'll see you next time. And in the meantime, stay sharp.
Stay sharp.